Hello, welcome to Oink Time Podcast. I'm Jen Carnivale.
I'm Ben Elwood.
This is a podcast where we chat with other comics, we get a word out of a hat, and then we rip it to piggy shreds. I don't know what that is. If you want to contact us with a word, you can on Twitter at oinktimepod or at Gmail, oinktime@gmail.com. And you can, of course, listen in on our producer's awesome podcast in brackets with Sean Allen. Do check it out.
And today our guest is the great Western Australian comic Sian Choyce, and the word she pulled is art. So we try and figure out, what is art?
What is art?
What is it? Please, guys, if you enjoy the podcast, go to iTunes, give it 5 stars, write a review. That helps us out a lot. I have a Fringe Festival show coming up in Sydney.
What's that? When?
It's called The Unexpected Benefits of a Colorectal Prolapse, and it is on the 18th, 20th and 22nd of September at 8:15 at the Factory Theatre. Please come. It's going to be fucking great.
Plus, there's going to be a bunch of Oink Time stuff happening for the Fringe. Sean, Ben and I will be there, so do check it out. Now time for some art.
To Brian, but she was, my mum's outside. And he was like, invite her up, sure. And then I got downstairs and literally I saw her and I was like, this is a bad idea. Like,
do you have like stress about performing in front of mother?
Not mother, like, because we have a pretty good open relationship. Like, and she knows that I'm joking about stuff on stage.
Yeah, she's
like,
not uptight or whatever.
No, not at all. So but I don't really like performing in front of anyone I know. Like, I much prefer strangers.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
My best friend brought his new girlfriend to a gig the other week, and I went into like full-blown panic attack mode where I was just like,
from a friend's girlfriend?
Well,
comic friend or just
I wouldn't give a shit
no,
about that.
friend, like my dear friend of like 20 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's been, and they both like each other very much, and I just felt like the pressure was on me. Of like, we've come to see you. And it was almost like, well, I'm representing my dear friend.
Yeah.
And if I humiliate myself on stage,
that's
he's going to look like a fucking
That's the guy
idiot.
that you've been friends with
Yeah,
for 20
exactly.
years?
Oh, that's the guy you dragged me out of the house to come and see. What a fucking loser.
Yeah.
And then they sat in the front fucking row. They just like plonked themselves right in my field of vision. And I was like, man.
No,
That's just fucking nasty. I did meet 2 of Chris's good friends after a gig, but he was really sweet and he lied to me and was like, no, they're not coming. It's weird. And I was like, oh, cool, thanks. And then after the gig, they were like, hi.
That's actually
like,
really nice,
good.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably lied, but it was better that I didn't know, because when I thought that they were coming, I did freak out. So I guess I was lying before.
I think it freaks me, like if you go back to like mum.
I don't care if my mum has like a filthy sense of humour. I think she likes seeing me do stand-up because I say stuff she can't. So she kind of like, you know, she's kind of like, oh, it's so funny and rude. And
I've never been, I mean, I don't care if mum's in the audience anymore, but back in the day, it wasn't a fear of like, oh, she's going to hear me talking about stuff and get offended, because she doesn't.
Yeah.
It's more, I think part of me, maybe it's still there, but it kind of regresses back where it's like this little kid where it's like, oh, mum's watching. I better do a really good job because my mom's watching. Like, they watch me dive, watch me swim, that kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was like really debilitating for a while. Like for ages, I was just like flat out, please do not come to a show, because I feel like...
What were you worried about?
I don't know. I feel like maybe in the early days, she had a kind of like a bit of an eye-rolling contempt for me doing comedy.
Wow.
Well,
that's heavy.
I'm not expecting that, no.
What are you worried about? I think she just really resented having
that's what I felt like.
and giving birth. I
thought you were doing
No. I think it was a response to, I refuse, you know, I was in that early 20s thing where it's like, comedy's my life now.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's, you know...
Are you sure?
Yeah, but also she comes from that
what
kind of
about
like...
making money?
Exactly. She comes from that Eastern European kind of tradition of like, well, why don't you get a job and then you can do your little comedy sketches.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if that falls apart, you've at least, and you know, I had that, no, fuck, what do you know what you're fucking talking about? And it's like, well, no, actually, in retrospect, she kind of did know what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing. I think, you know, I was probably projecting, but whenever she was in the audience, I felt like if I don't kill and I don't show her that I'm the greatest comedian in the world,
Then
that
she's-
confirms her doubts about, me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
How
huh?
long
Pretty
did
fucked
she
up.
do you feel like she maybe kept those doubts up? You don't think she's
Any
No,
day now,
no,
she's
I
gonna
think-
have face.
I think around the age of 30, I started acting more like an adult. And I think it was obvious enough from an observer's perspective that I'd leveled up a little bit. And I
Yeah.
think she chilled the fuck
Your
out
poor
on that.
mother. Imagine having to wait till your kid's 30 to be like,
My
oh,
poor-
now they're an adult.
Isn't that just standard now? At least I moved.
30?
Man, there's fucking 30-year-olds that still live at fucking home. No offense if that's you.
Hey. Hey. Should have given you a bit of background about myself.
Your mum sounds like fun, though. I mean,
You still live with your mom?
I do.
What's that like?
Uh,
How old are you?
I'm 33.
That's all right.
Yeah. That's
you're younger than both of us.
I just fucking shat all over people
No,
younger than you who do it. That's fine for you.
You know, Ben also
Yeah,
just
yeah,
said
yeah.
that his mum was happy he finally matured at 30, so you can probably throw some shit back. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay.
No. Like I find because I have lived with my mum. I lived with my mum when I was in my late 20s for a little while.
Yeah.
And I found I ended up regressing into like a 15-year-old. Fucking shut up, mum.
Yeah, I think there's always weirdly been like cross parenting happening because my mum had me when she was quite young. Like she had me like a month after her 19th birthday.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So she was like some little flower child living in like the rainforest in Queensland and was like, because I always just assumed I was a mistake. Like, you know what I mean?
Just planning ahead at 19.
Yeah, right? But no, apparently not. Like,
Really?
No. She was like
Wow.
in love with my dad and like, let's make a flower child baby. It'll be
Oh,
amazing.
that's so cute.
Yeah, but then you have a kid and you're like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Are you an only child?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had the one. They're like, we don't need more.
Yeah.
And is it
Pretty
just
much.
you and mum?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's how it is with my mum.
Yeah.
And it's like it is an unavoidably intense relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there is a lot of, whether it's co-parenting or co-care going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah, but it's
unavoidable.
probably not healthy, really. Like, it's, you know what I mean? At this point, like, don't get me wrong, I love her so much and, yeah, really love our relationship and everything like that. But from an outside perspective, probably not.
If it's not detrimental to your relationship, I think it's okay. I just wouldn't live with my mum because we wouldn't get along as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I...
Like, I spoke to her the other day and she
No,
was
see, we get
tired.
along. We get along really well.
Yeah, see, then I think it's okay. Like, if it's not detrimental, like, I've had heaps of, I'm just going to say, male friends in comedy, you included, Ben, where when they've lived with their
that's
mum.
nice.
Here we
That's
go.
nice.
No, because when they've lived with their mum, it's just this weird coincidence. Eric used to say it all the time, whereas, like, ever noticed how all our friends who fucking hate their mum are also living with their mum?
Yeah, of course.
At 33.
course.
Like, you and a few other guys be like, my mum's fucking driving me nuts. Like, because you're a dude and you want to,
yeah,
like, live this bachelor life, but you're sharing a house with your mother. You
Well,
can't have that peaceful relationship. If you can, Sean, then I think it's fine. I
Yeah,
think it's
I'm
only
not
when
really
it's,
living a bachelor life.
You're not.
Oh, yeah, I was really living a bachelor life back in the day.
To be fair though,
No,
I've just
but
looked
you know what
across
I
the
mean.
table and we're dressed remarkably similar.
Yeah, you guys are dressed super
Yeah,
similar.
hoodie, yeah.
It's kind of awkward.
Hoodie, jeans.
But it does. It feeds into that like for me anyway, it was that infantilizing thing. And I think the reason there was so much like, fuck mum, it was because I felt like I was 15 again. And also I think, she was subconsciously treating me like I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this toxic feedback loop where,
Well,
if
maybe-
it works, it works. Like
Maybe in your situation,
Yeah,
'cause
my
your mum's
toxic
young.
feedback loop's great. Like, I'm enjoying that, you guys.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
7 years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So she's accepted it. Like, no, that's not fair.
She was a hippie. She has to be
No,
into it.
she's always been really supportive. Like, like probably. Again, this sounds really bad. Probably too supportive because, like, I'm not doing well enough to not have a day job, but I don't
right.
have a day job. Like, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting by.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could be either
There's like 4
either doing
comics.
better or earning just more labor intensive money.
I think there's like a handful who make enough money doing just stand-up.
Well, the
And that
Perth scene is quite good for that.
to live off it.
Yeah.
Sydney's pretty good. Like, you make a pretty good amount of money, but the guys who are, like, really, really comfortable are like, oh, I'm doing another cruise. And like,
Or they've got TV projects or whatever.
Oh, yeah, like writing jobs. But I mean stand-up,
yeah.
like just stand-up.
But the problem is, like, the pool at the moment is so huge. There's so many comics.
Big old tail end.
Yeah, so even if you do the whole kind of loop of the circuit, a lot of the time you just have to sit on the bench for, X amount of weeks / months until everyone else gets their go.
Or go interstate.
Go interstate, yeah. Do you do a lot of interstate gigs?
Not as many as I would like, and that's just probably poor organisation on my part. Like, I was here pretty much similar time last year.
Is that when we gigged together?
Yeah.
We've got a really weird gig story, Benny, because, like, I was emceeing Happy Endings and Sean was doing a spot and you got up and halfway through her set.
It wasn't even halfway through. It was
like at the beginning,
It was like 2 minutes in. It was my first joke, and I thought they were chatting. Like, I thought they were chatting.
Yeah, so because they were like a super nice crowd, but then all of a sudden these two dudes started like mumbling. And as the MC, you're like, oh, fuck, maybe I screwed up and didn't tell people to like not heckle or something. And then I saw your face change and I was like, oh, something is happening. And the dude stopped breathing, didn't he?
Yeah, he literally, like, because I was like,
What?
When something awkward happens, like if you start talking while a comedian's on stage, and then literally this guy just yells out, he's not breathing, call an ambulance. And I was like, oh, God, I've just berated a dying man. But also, I went like that, but also half of my brain just went, this is going to be the best story ever. I've literally killed.
I made a cunt laugh himself to death.
Killed on stage, all right? Literally.
Man, the way you handled that, I was so fucking impressed. Because, like, I don't know how do you bounce back from someone almost dying?
But wait, no.
you did. Like,
what happened? Like, did he get cut?
I stayed on stage.
Yeah, like,
honestly.
Did he get removed from the venue?
Yeah,
I was on stage and I was just like, oh, can we get him some water? Can we what? And like Mark David, the guy that runs the room, he was pretty much in the stairwell. He's like, the ambulance is on the way, and I was like, we need to get him out here. And literally, the tables and chairs just like Red Sea parted.
Yeah,
it was the most amazing coordinated thing I've ever seen a comedy audience do, and he was gone.
Do you remember what he said? So this guy was like
the dying guy?
The guy who couldn't breathe. He was like pretty overweight and like
it was his birthday.
It was his birthday. That's right. It was his birthday. But do you remember what he said going up?
No.
He goes, I probably just need a smoke. Because you made jokes about it. He was like, no, I probably just need a smoke. And everyone was like, oh my God, this guy's going to like fucking drop dead going up the stairs. And how you fucking brought it back, I wish it was recorded. It was like a miracle. Because you can't.
It's honestly, it's one of the only gigs, because I just keep my phone in my pocket just recording my gigs, listening to sets. But it's one of the only gigs that I do not have. I don't know why. I was just like, oh no, it's only a 7-minute spot or whatever. I won't bother. And I got off stage and I was like, God damn it, why don't I have this?
Oh, man.
But it was, because I stayed on stage as well. And I was just
and
like.
killed. You did really well.
I was just going, do you guys want jokes now? Or do you want like a cardiovascular health lecture? Like, what do you? But like the audience was so good as well, because they were so like ready to get back on board.
Because I was just with you.
I was just thinking that they're just going to be distracted by the fact that there's probably a guy dying 20 meters away.
But
right
that's
now.
the thing though, if you weren't chilled out and like having fun and calm, then they would have been. Because it was intense. Like, I mean, it's not an over-exaggeration. Like, the chairs parted and this dude had to get taken out. And Mark David's like, I'm calling an ambo. Like, it was full on.
Was he like barking at you like, keep the fucking show going?
No. He was just like so already, like he was on the phone, I think, with the ambo guys.
Yeah.
And he ended up, but literally this guy went upstairs and had a cigarette.
Had a smoke,
and like I got off stage and kind of went up to see what the fuck was going on. And Mark had cancelled the ambulance by that point. And this dude was, he went down and watched the second half of the show.
What?
Yeah, he came back
he
down.
stuck around. I've got a photo of him on my Facebook. It's just like me and this kind of fat guy. Yeah.
He's
like
probably
a year ago,
dead now.
No, don't say that. He was sweet. He was a really sweet guy.
And he was like,
and he was so happy because it was his birthday and stuff as well.
Mario. His name was Mario.
Good memory. Yeah, Mario. Yeah. That was like one of the
shout out to Mario.
Yeah, man. Hey, Mario.
Something. I was at a play at the Opera House one time, and I used to get like horrendous I still do, but I'm used to them now, so they don't
What?
bother me. Panic attacks.
Oh, yeah.
But like the first couple of times you have like a full-blown panic attack.
Yeah.
It's like virtually the same symptoms as a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys ever had?
I've had one.
I'm not sure, but I'm an epileptic, so I get like absent seizures and stuff like that. So they can be like pretty, intense.
Traumatic?
Just intense because they were undiagnosed for a lot of years as well. So, and it always starts with a really intense deja vu feeling.
Whoa.
So I just assumed I got really intense deja vu. Like I was just like, oh man, like if I was standing up, I'd have to like sit down and,
Whoa.
Do
really.
you have actual seizures?
I do now, yeah.
Do you have like?
Oh, well, I don't. Well, that sounds bad. It progressed to temporal lobe epilepsy, which is seizures.
What happens when you like? Do you have like visions or like what
Seizures?
Yeah, like what's
I lose consciousness.
So you're not present for it.
I get.
I've done first aid. I don't want anyone to panic if it happens.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty much
Do you have things
recovery
that trigger
position. Mine tend to happen around coming in or going to sleep.
Yeah.
Which is fairly lucky because you're
yeah.
generally in a comfy position lying down. You're not,
You're in a soft place.
Yeah, you're not walking
is
through
about
Central
falling asleep?
Station or whatever. Well, apparently, I was talking to the neurologist because I have 6 month checkups and stuff like that. It's all pretty much medicated, controlled, and everything like that now.
Yeah.
But occasionally, I'll get like a bit of a weird, like tick, which is like tremor. That's kind of normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said that that's actually quite common. I think something about the REM part of sleep because
right.
you're like half conscious, half not conscious, and that for a lot of people
Kicks
is I don't have any problem with lights or anything like that.
That's
I've
interesting.
That's so interesting because like a lot of the panic attacks I used to get were night terrors, and it was a similar thing. It was just as I was about to nod, just as I was about to fall asleep.
What, you get a panic attack?
I would like. This hasn't happened in a long time. They sometimes happen, but again, it's like, oh, here we go. Like, you know what this is.
Yeah.
But for the first year that they were happening, I would like burst out of bed and like be running down the hallway.
Freaking out.
And it was almost like I was convinced I was having a heart attack, and it was almost like my body was, like, it's so stupid, but it was almost like my body thought it could outrun the heart attack.
Yeah.
So I would like run out of bed. And like I remember that like my girlfriend at the time, the first few times it happened, it freaked the fuck out of her.
Oh, of course it would.
Well, yes.
Of course it
But it was
would.
like it was so out of my control.
Yeah.
No, but it was and just like bursting out of bed and running away. It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But no, but the reason I brought the panic attacks was because the first time I ever had one, or one of the first times, it was at the Opera House in the middle of a play.
Whoa.
You were watching the play, or you were in the
I was
play?
in the middle. No, I was watching a play, and I was sitting in the middle of the fucking middle row of the entire audience, and I felt this wave of but then it was superseded by like the whole kind of like and I was convinced I was having a heart attack. Like I was absolutely convinced of it.
But you don't want to be the guy.
Well, I didn't want to start yelling, I think I'm having a heart attack. Stop the play. Stop, like, get me out of here. So I just kind of sat there, and had it been a heart attack, I would have just died in the seat and fucking, but it was like, so good on him for actually saying something. Or his friend for saying
his
something.
friend said something.
Yeah.
He kept saying he was okay. Mario was like, I'm okay. And his mate was like, no, you're not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Fucking.
I completely forgot about him going up the stairs going like, oh no,
I need
I'm
a
just,
smoke.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because I was on the side like, holy shit.
I think my brain was probably going, I don't, like just on auto response to whatever he was kind of saying.
Well, your brain goes so quick when you're on stage anyway, but I imagine it would have been pretty surreal.
I'm just devastated I don't have a recording of it.
Yeah, I know.
Devastated.
I know. Be good to hear it back.
Oh.
Far out.
I bumped into a guy the other day that has the recording of my very first gig.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is he like holding it on? That makes it sound like he's holding you for ransom.
Oh, it's like, no.
I met
It's
a
like-
guy who's got the recording
like-
of my very first gig.
I was working at the Comedy Store at the time, so it's a big running joke with all the people that worked at
okay,
this,
yeah.
because it was just a catastrophic death. And I saw him in Brisbane a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, just so you know, I've got an archive somewhere of that first ever gig.
Man.
He's like, do you want me to find it for you? You can listen. Just like, no fucking
Yeah, find it and destroy it. Why would you?
Do you remember what you were talking about?
Yeah, I was talking about Starbucks.
Oh, God.
And I had a fucking complete fucking like meltdown on stage after 3 minutes, and Like, it was like a full house on a Saturday night, and I fucking walked out there
I
thinking
can't imagine
that
my first gig being at the store.
it was
Nah.
fucking evil, man. Like, it was the
That's brutal.
It was the manager of the store, and he was like this real sadist that was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a gig before Raw, sure."
Because there's a bar guy.
Yeah, I was the bar guy, and I was like, "I really want to get in comedy," and he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you a gig," and he put me on between two American
Baptism by
headliners on
fire.
a Saturday night, full house at the Comedy Store, and I, was all high off Bill Hicks, like, "Yeah, I'm going to be the next Bill Hicks."
Bill Hicks talking about Starbucks.
Yeah, well, no, I just been fired from Starbucks for a whole
So
bunch
you're
of
rallying
things.
against the
yeah,
man.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna be the one. And so I came out and I was wearing a Starbucks apron, pretending to be a Starbucks employee.
Oh my God, I
doing
recall.
You
Please
seriously,
get
you had
this
a
recording.
uniform?
Yeah. So I thought, well,
Please get this
It
recording.
was 2005. It was 2005.
He came out
So
in an apron.
I was gonna come out. I came out in a Starbucks apron, and the whole point was I would tell a joke about in the voice of a Starbucks employee, and the joke was, "Hey guys, what's the difference between Arabica beans and Robusta beans?" And the plan was that they'd be dead silent, and then I'd go, as if Starbucks would ever use Arabica beans because they're the inferior bean. The
Yeah.
joke
Yeah,
being
yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah, very good.
And then my hope this
Edgy.
is so mortifying.
Edgy.
And then my hope was that the crowd would be silent, and then I'd go, "Ah!" and like tear the apron off and throw it on the ground and go, puncture, Starbucks is fucked. And they'd all be like, "Yay, like he got us."
Wow. I mean, look, there is some level of that's impressive and that you didn't just talk about your dick for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I
that's
had
true.
a point. I was
Like,
going to
you
be
were
the next
trying to-
Bill
When you
Hicks.
said Starbucks, I was like, oh wow. Like I was
Bro.
literally,
Yeah, like,
I
I
was,
mean-
yeah. I was,
So what happened was I go out. What's the difference between Arabica beans and Robusta
Oh,
beans?
yeah, tell us the punchline, Benny. There's so much suspense.
They
going.
don't laugh. I'm like sick. Everything's going according to plan.
yeah. You wanted silence.
I rip the apron off, but instead of coming off, the knot at the back tightens and the apron won't come off. And I'm like standing there in front of 300 people in dead silence going, it was,
Oh, this is so upsetting to hear.
it was
It's upsetting, but it's so good.
I'm like, oh, it was supposed to come off.
Oh my God.
Well, I guess I better do it anyway. Hey, Starbucks is like really fucked because they're it's like dead silence
Oh my
and then no
God.
shit. Do you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Homer becomes Dancing Homer?
Yeah.
and he's
No.
like dancing around in Capital City, and then dead silent. He can hear people in the audience going, "Oh, this might fly in the sticks, but this is Capital City." It was that kind of like I literally had someone go, "Yeah, real edgy Bill Hicks," in like cavernous silence. 3 minutes into it, I'm like shaking. I put the mic back in the stand, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. At that point, the only laugh I hear is Pete Blacklock, the manager of the Comedy Store, at the
my
back of the room,
God.
going, he thinks it's the funniest fucking thing he's ever seen in his life. I go off stage, and the next thing I hear is the MC gets on, and he's like, that was Ben Elwood, everybody, and it's one of those like.
Oh, that's so fucking
Like
annoying.
that, at which point I like throw up all over myself.
Did you vom?
Yeah, I vomited.
Oh
like
my
first gig ever, I
God.
vomited. And then I had to get up the next night to do Raw. And had I not had to get up the next night, I don't know if I ever would have done it again. And I did this. I had to do the same act because I had nothing else. But I just
Yeah,
did.
you gotta do the killer.
I ditched the apron.
Bring the stuff that
The
works.
night, yeah.
Starbucks, give the people what they want.
Props. I don't know. They're too, never work with aprons or children.
Fuck.
No fucking, props.
Did you have to, like, were you at work that first night?
That was, and maybe that's like going back to what we were talking about earlier, that fear of having people in the room.
Yeah.
Maybe it goes back to that because that was my big pathological fear. It
Yeah,
was
that
like,
makes sense.
I have to go to work with these
Yeah.
fucking people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the
And I've-
people, not the material. The Starbucks
like
shit
if you
was
die
killer.
on stage,
Killer.
if you die on stage, and then you have to see every single one of those people up close, and then like pour a drink for them while they're going.
Oh, yeah, being the bar guy.
That's what- yeah.
It was the fucking worst. And all the employees like, yeah, that was good
Oh
on you, man. Good on you.
You're brave.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. My first gig was the worst as well. Like it.
Where was
I don't-
it? Do you remember?
The Laugh Resort, which is a club in Perth. They're not doing a weekly room at the moment, but it's basically the longest running club in Perth. They've been going for like 25 years. run by a committee, like for comedians, by comedians, that kind of thing. And at that time, it was at the top level of the Brass Monkey in Perth.
Yeah.
In like a terrible room. It wasn't a good room, but the night itself was run 3 brackets: supports, break, headline, break, open mic.
Yep.
So basically, it was like
At the
you
end.
can,
So you can hang out. That's actually not a bad
That's
idea.
a much better idea.
You can hang
Yeah.
out if you want to check out the movies.
And the crowd
Yeah.
hasn't been poisoned
Yeah,
by a
that's
lot
not
of
a bad
shit
idea.
talent.
Yeah, but it's a Wednesday as well. So not a lot of people ever really used to stick around.
You don't wanna
which
see the guys
in
try their new stuff?
retrospect, fine. Like, just,
You want to see someone with no stage presence or microphone technique?
Yeah,
that would be great.
So good. So there was literally, I think, 2 of my friends came. There was maybe about another 2 or 3 people in the crowd, and then maybe about 5 comics sort of loitering, the couple that were going to be open mic that night as well, the MC, the guy who books the room.
Full house.
And like I don't remember any of the jokes, but it was like I remember it was like the most self-indulgent like stream of consciousness,
You?
like bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
How rare for comedy. Self-indulgent stream of consciousness.
it was
That should be the alternate name for stand-up
Every
comedy.
show.
yeah.
Welcome to some self-indulgent stream of consciousness.
It was just like, it was basically almost no even set up punchline of any kind. And the only, like, and just silence, like silence in a tiny room anyway, where you can pretty much see everybody.
What made
Like,
you want to get back up after dying so badly?
well, that's the thing. The only thing I got to laugh is about 3 minutes in when I just called the death. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just like, look, I don't know what you guys want.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was the only thing people were like, oh, God, good, she knows.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
Woo!
That
Yeah,
brought
yeah,
them
yeah.
comfort.
And I got off stage, and one of my friends just like put his hand on my shoulder. He's like, at least you got up. Like, yeah, like you were saying about the other stuff. Like, oh no, good on you, man. It's the word. And I just went, don't do that. We both know what just happened.
yeah, don't cut me.
Yeah. But I think it was literally, I went, that is as bad as it could possibly go. Like, I cannot imagine it going worse
that's
than
the
that.
worst, then
if
I'll
that's
be
the
okay.
worst, I'm still kind of here and I want to do better.
It's surely been worse than that since then.
I don't think so.
Really?
Well, but that
Like,
makes sense.
You're
If you-
very
Maybe.
lucky.
Well, it maybe.
Because it got a lot worse for me after
Well,
the apron gig.
It's not like I've never had another fucking death, because there's a lot of them in the first years. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you had, the more you do, the more skills you develop. And so the easier it is to handle it, I guess. If it's your very first gig and you're just rambling in front of people, it's hard to beat that if you die in the arse.
Yeah. It depends. Like, I've had gigs where...
I think I'm glad it wasn't in front of 300 people though.
Well, see, that's the thing. I've had
Yeah.
gigs like that were, like, really important gigs, and I fucking,
Where
like...
you've died in the arse.
died.
Oh, so,
And not just, like, oh,
Yeah.
ha, 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 they tittered. Like, I'm talking, like, cavernous, deathly silence and me, like, sweating and...
Screaming.
You know that... Yeah, screaming. You know that moment... you know that moment where you're dying so badly and then your mouth dries out and you hear that little... in the back of your throat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the whole crowd hears it, and it's like this. It's like the starter's pistol of everyone
Yeah.
going, "Oh, they're dead meat. We know it." And it's like, and it's this. You know that moment that in the room where you feel the energy shift, and everyone knows that there's no coming back, and the person on stage knows there's no coming back, and it's just this awful fucking.
But
feedback
sometimes
loop.
if you call it, it's okay.
if you call it, yeah.
Yeah, if you're in it with them and you're like, I know this is fucked.
No, but there's nothing worse than someone just like, you know, the sweat's dribbling down their face, and they're like, no. Just plow on.
just
Everything's
getting,
great.
yeah, just
I
getting
can dig
faster.
myself out of this
just
hole.
getting faster.
Hey, should we go to the hat?
Let's go to the hat.
Oh.
All right, so you get to pick a word, and
Is
then
this what you
can-
made me go outside for
Yes.
before to like discuss?
the mystery of the hat?
Meant to tell you.
Drum roll.
Is there- Alright.
What comes to Sean's mind when she says the word
Art. I think it's art.
Oh, my
It's
writing's...
either art or it's ant.
Yeah, my
No, it's-
writing's
it's-
super bad. It's art.
Okay.
art. Yeah.
It can be ant if you
It
feel
can be.
passionate
Do you know
about
what?
that.
Do you know what? That piece of paper is art.
Do you get art?
Gonna frame it.
Does anyone? I
I
feel
know-
like that's what art is like it's
Built for?
yeah. I mean,
I never feel like more of a savage than when I'm at an art gallery. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'll stand in front of like a friend took me to see a Rothko. You know the guy that does like the red squares
yeah.
and the blue triangles and stuff. And he's sitting there, and I can't tell if he's actually having some kind of revelation, but he's
Yeah.
standing there being like, oh,
Your
my God,
mate.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
man." And I'm just standing there going, it's just a fucking red square.
Yeah.
Like, is it amazing, or like, or do you have to be explained why it's amazing, and then you kind of know that it's amazing? Like, I don't know. Like, it's a
Well, this is a annoying question, but people call stand-up art because it's storytelling. What do you think of that? I personally don't know if I'd call it art. I think it's. I mean, but then I'm like, oh, but it's performance, and performance is art.
I read a great description of art once by this guy Scott McCloud, and he talks about how, like, you know, you look at human activity over the course of our evolution, and like there's hunting and there's gathering and there's survival and all of these things that are necessary for art. And he uses the example of like, so there's a guy, a caveman, he's on a hunt, and that's just human need and that's necessity.
Yeah.
And then the saber-toothed tiger turns around and growls at him, and he goes into fight or flight mode and he runs, and that's survival. And then he runs up the tree, but the moment he turns around and goes like and like laughs at the tiger, that's art. Because it's like some expression that goes beyond just the mere survival, and it's like the expression of what's going on inside his soul. So if you like,
But is every form of self-expression art?
well, I don't know. Some people would say yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think that's a slippery slope.
No.
But then you don't
Is
want
this art right now? No.
Some people would say it is.
They're fuckheads. It's not. It's a conversation.
But by the other token, it's like, well, then do you have to go to some fucking like art college for 10 years and learn to be a Renaissance painter?
Well, that is the fact that this is being sort of recorded and produced and will be put out there. Does that make it the art? If we were just sitting around and no one else besides the three of us were ever going to hear this conversation,
If a tree falls.
does that? Yeah.
Maybe.
So if like there was a red square just sitting in a room by itself, probably not art. But as soon as someone looks at it and goes, wow, that's
my favorite art piece was this guy. I can't remember his name, but it was in the 60s, and he was kind of like, it was when all that like anti-art found object stuff started happening.
Yeah.
And his thing was he canned his own feces.
Gross.
And he printed labels saying authentic artist shit, and he charged the same amount gram for gram for his feces as the price of gold at the time.
Oh my God.
And on cue, the entire art community bought all the fucking cans of shit. And it was him being like, you know, taking the piss and going, you guys are fucking idiots. But, you know, like all these galleries are something like, oh, canned artists' feces. And then over time, I think it was like 30 or 40 years, all the methane built up in the cans, and the cans started exploding in art galleries all around the world.
To be fair, that is the best long form prank.
So fucking that is art.
so
40 years
good.
later, for some art wanker to be saying going, yes, statement about
Oh my
covered
God.
in this guy's 40-year-old shit.
Yeah.
That's
Disgusting.
fucking brilliant.
Like cartoon, like bomb.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I never feel like I dated this girl briefly who was like some expert in Renaissance painting, and she took me to a gallery.
Boring. No, I'm
She was cool, man.
I'm kidding.
She was cool. But she took me to this gallery, and she was like, it was only through her explaining why that shadow
see, I think if
is.
you go to a gallery with someone who is knowledgeable on the art stuff, I don't know. It's more of an experience.
But then should it be explained? Like, should art have to be explained?
Yeah, true.
Like, should you only be able to enjoy it if people are like, you don't get it. The brown lines are, representative of the pain. Like, should you have to have that there?
Maybe not explained, but maybe given context.
Oh, like the
Context.
history of it.
That's
Yeah,
right. And
yeah.
that's what she was doing. She wasn't explaining, that woman looks dour because she's living through the potato famine. It was like, no, that.
She's had no vitamins.
Yeah, like, no, it was
Her
like
skin
that
will be
painting is.
jaundicey.
It was like that painting.
Jaundicey skin.
It's like that painting is important in this context, and this person invented this technique. And so from that context, it was interesting. But I still can't, I don't know. I think it's that thing with art where it's like, if you're a savage like me, and I assume you guys, it's like you just know what you like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm a brat because I hate when people get really patronizing about art, but at the same time, I love when there's, like, installations around the city or when there's, like, street art everywhere. I think it's really interesting to see how people interact with it. So I love that kind of stuff.
It's,
Yeah, that's true.
I went to Mona in Tasmania in September for Dark Mofo, and
How was that? Because there was a bit of controversy around that.
all the upside down crucifixes.
Yeah.
Please.
I didn't think it was a bit, but I was like, really? This is what you're gonna?
Well, there was a big
I
controversy.
feel like you've got different issues right now. Church.
This is exactly. Yeah. Actually, this is an interesting thing because the previous year, see what you think of this. The previous year at Mofo, the big controversy was this German artist called Hermann Nietzsche, who basically works in the medium of blood and guts and corpses.
Yeah.
And you might have read about it. They requisitioned the dead body of a cow, and over the course of 3 hours, they basically tore 8 or 9 people tore this cow to pieces and fucked in the guts. And it was
Did fuck in the guts?
yeah, it was crazy. I never thought I would say that watching a group of people fuck in a pile of guts would get boring. But after about an hour of it, it was like, yeah, all right.
Why was there even an hour? Like
It went for
That's a
3
lot of
fucking
sex.
hours. It went for 3 hours. And
I thought you meant like the pulling apart of the cow and stuff was more of that time.
No, like it was like so they wheel this corpse in. I mean, it was a whole ceremonial kind of thing, and there was this weird like they'd gotten this middle-aged Tasmanian brass band to play drone music over the top, and it was obviously it's like maybe conservative Taswegian people didn't really realize what they were getting themselves into.
So they thought they were just going to see a brass band.
Finally!
Oh my god!
It was unbelievable. So they're all there playing these dissonant, like, but out of the side of their eyes, you could see just this. What the
horror.
fuck are we like?
That's
part
actually
of?
amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I would
That's what I'm
find that
saying.
more interesting than watching the fucking.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
just watching these, like,
Totally.
Oh my god, like a Rotary Club, just going, what the
What
fuck?
have we become a part of? Like,
Rotary Club.
and
Jan's there, just having a ball. It's like, I thought this would be
Scots
good.
for this.
well, I only lasted about. I think I lasted 2 of the 3 hours before I was like, yeah, all right, and kind of walked away. And then I was talking to a dude I know after it, and he was fucking jizzing, like that was the most profound thing I've ever seen. It was a metaphor for the Holocaust, and it's like, is it a metaphor for the Holocaust? Maybe it's just
Why?
people.
Where?
Maybe it's just people fucking in a pile of guts.
Yeah.
Like, or it's just whatever you want. But
Why was
there
it
was
a
this big-
metaphor for the Holocaust?
Yeah, that's a
I don't know.
stretch. That's a fucking stretch.
I don't
Do you know
know,
what I mean?
like maybe Hermann Nietzsche's German. Who knows? He just wanted.
Still a stretch.
This guy's a real fucking wanker. Let me just say, he's one of those dudes that's like, only I understand what the artist was trying to say, and the rest of
Gross.
you savages just don't understand.
Gross.
He's that kind of
Yeah.
really fucking vile. But it did kind of ignite that debate in my head of like, what? I mean, is it art? I don't know. What is it? Like,
Yeah,
It's a bunch of people rolling around in, I don't know, cow guts.
and is part of the art because a lot of the way I had survived Mofo this year because I don't like phones and I don't like people kind of willingly pulling themselves out of the moment.
Yeah.
And there was so much in Mofo that is designed to
be so
immersive and awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Like just, because big themes of like sex and death and fire and,
Yeah.
very kind of visceral
Yeah.
shit.
And someone's iPhone just pops up into your field of vision. Yeah.
I went into Dark Park
Concerts
and
are the worst now.
They constructed a bonfire that was literally made of full-size tree trunks, not logs,
Yeah.
trunks. It was the size of a 3-story building. This
Wow.
fucking fire.
Yeah.
And I was standing there, and admittedly, I might have been under the influence of something, which was increasing the awe. But I was like, really, just like, there's a full moon, and there's this primal fire, and it's like, how can you not be just
Yeah.
in awe of it? And I stepped out of myself for a minute and looked around, and there's like maybe 200 people, and it didn't look like anyone else was standing there just going like, holy shit. Everyone was Instagramming it and photographing
Yeah.
it, and look at that, and look at just completely detached from it.
Yeah.
And
Because
so,
that shit's addictive. I mean,
It's to post to show everyone how immersed you were.
check,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I noticed that in Mona as well. Like you would walk into an exhibition and people would either walk in, photograph it, and walk out without actually
Yeah.
looking at it. Or they'd consult the guide, like, well, how should I feel about what I'm looking at? What should I be thinking
I
right
don't
now?
like that kind of stuff. Like being sort of told what is or isn't.
This is what it
Yeah,
means.
it's kind of
Yeah.
patronizing.
Yeah.
Or it's just annoying when they're like, oh, this is how you should feel when you look at this. And you're like, I don't fucking need you to tell me how I feel. I don't even know how I feel.
Well,
You don't know how I feel.
especially with like those old masters and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, he was. I think it gets mentioned in Nanette. You know, the thing about like, oh, well, they wanted you to feel this thing, and it's like, well, how do you actually know that?
Yeah.
How do you
can
know?
you tell
How
us
do
what
you
they wanted
even
us to
know what the
feel?
artist? Yeah, they could have just been high and loving that color that day.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And especially if it's something that's challenging or confronting or something, it's like, well, like one person's confronting is another person's normal.
Yeah, one person's
so-
yawn. Like, you know, like you said, it gets fucking boring after a couple of hours of someone fucking in guts. Like,
But God, I couldn't believe how fucking boring it was.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. It's
I wouldn't have ever assumed that either. Like, I feel like it'd be somewhat engaging.
But
Like,
for me, this year, the only way I could get through because I stayed for 2 weeks, the only way I could get through the festival without kind of just being like, fucking look at these fucking people.
drugs.
Yeah, well, that. But, you know, it was to kind of go, oh, well, I think maybe part of the art at this stage is how other people are interacting with the art.
I was thinking that when you were talking about the bonfire thing, like, and I think that's, in terms of like the art from the artist's perspective, I think that's probably, well, hopefully more what it's like for them. It's not just like, I made this thing, please like it. It's, how does this thing make you feel? I wanted it.
How are people interacting with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather
There's
than just
probably a
like,
lot of that.
I do or don't like it, but
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like if you make anything, I mean, you know, like when we're on stage,
Yeah.
and you know, and you could debate whether comedy is an art or not. But
It's
when
the
we're-
art of storytelling, I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, there's something artistic to
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
But at the very minimum, you want people to be engaged with it. You don't want to
Yeah.
walk on stage and see everyone just staring at their phones and kind of just glancing up every now
Yeah,
and then and go,
yeah.
oh yeah, ha ha ha, and looking back down.
Well, you can tell when a comic connects with people or doesn't.
yeah.
And that,
So I feel like when you if you're I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming if you're a sculptor or a painter or something, you want people to stand there and be immersed or in awe or engage with it and not just click, got it, next. You know, I don't want to say like, oh, they're interacting with it wrong and I'm interacting with it right. I don't think that, but it does seem to be like,
But you sort of think that.
well, I do think that. Yeah, I do think that because it's just like, I feel like people are afraid of awe, and I feel like there's an awe.
Afraid of awe?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know.
Afraid of wanting to inspire it or be sort of swept
of
up
surrender
in it.
to it because
Yeah.
to be in awe, like when I was standing when I was standing in front of that bonfire, it was unfucking believable because by the
Yeah.
time I got there, it had been burning for like 3 hours. So like the middle of these trunks was like embers,
Glowing.
And then at one point, one of them collapsed and it set off this mushroom
wow.
cloud of fucking sparks into the sky.
Did you
And
film it?
Yeah, fucking put it straight on my fucking tweet. On my tweet.
It's always such an old thought.
I hate it so much. But it just feels like, you know, I feel like when you surrender to awe, when you're standing in front of something that you can't comprehend, whether it's whatever, the ocean or
Yeah.
the stars or fire or anything like that, that's so outside your realm of
Just like daily existence or whatever.
yeah, or it's so hard to articulate what the, you know, it basically you have to kind of be comfortable with, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And it's heaps bigger than I am. And I'm kind of insignificant in the face of this.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe people have always recoiled from that. I don't think so. Because I
No,
don't feel like.
they just might process things differently and they might not be as into feeling. I think like.
I feel like phones have made people like that.
But also people like to feel content. And so maybe if they're content with taking a photo and walking away and not thinking deeper about how they feel about shit, then that's how they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
You just hate them.
I don't, it's not even that. Not to sound condescending, I felt sorry for people because it was
Yeah.
just like, oh man, this is so fucking cool. This is so amazing. And just like, if you could just stop for, like, if you want a photo of this, there'll be thousands of photos online and they'll be taken in. It's like when you go to Vivid or whatever.
Yeah.
Go to Google Images. Some professional photographer will have taken a photo of this and it'll be much better than your
it's the whole
phone.
thing of just experience it while you can. All that type of stuff.
And it doesn't seem to be, taking the photo of it doesn't seem to be about anything other than, check out how cool I am. Look what I did. I did it. I was there.
Do you have every human social media shit stuff that's available, Sean?
I've got a
Twitter.
Facebook. I've got a Twitter. I don't tweet well.
No, me neither.
No,
I'm a
I don't do it.
retweeter.
Yeah, I retweet. I occasionally tweet if something's like
Those who
annoyed
can't
me,
tweet,
but
retweet.
in terms of like
If
actually
something's annoyed you.
normally, yeah, I
Some
feel like
fuckhead.
I feel like that's what Twitter's for. A
Yeah,
bit,
totally.
Though. Like,
Yeah.
If the president of the US can use it for that, I feel like I'm allowed.
No hold barred.
No,
yeah.
but you know, like, yeah, I don't sort of think, oh, okay, what content am I going to put out on my Twitter this week?
Do you think it's weird that a lot of people do? Like, I know heaps of comics will openly talk about it, where they're like, are you, like, they joke about it, but they're like, got to tweet
surprised.
5 times today, and you're like, whoa.
I
I'm a
was
small
really
business.
surprised that, like, the draft tweets folder was such a big thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is that?
Like, exactly, right?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Instead of, so if you, like, type out a tweet and then you don't want to tweet it, you can kind of either delete it then or, like, save it as a draft. And then kind of go back to it, I guess,
Brew
if
on
you
it.
want to. Yeah. I'd never done that with Twitter stuff. Like, I'd either I'd type it out and kind of just go, or just kind of go, that's so dumb, I don't even want to tweet that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I don't think I ever, because I think it still came up, like, save to draft, but I was just like, whatever, delete. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even register the other option was there.
I think it becomes like, I think all that stuff's incredibly addictive.
I do like Instagram. I hated it for ages and I resisted it for ages.
I
'cause
don't
was
have
just
it
like,
still.
I don't know.
I just like, again, not in terms of like huge amount of content or anything like that. I like scrolling through people's stories.
If
Just
it's like
kinda see
travel
what-
photos, I like travel
Yeah.
photos.
Oh, to be honest, like,
really do.
to be
I love
honest,
travel photos.
I'm going to the Maldives soon, and I'm so fucking excited. My friend and I that are going, like, we've already just discussed that we're just going to be the most obnoxious people.
Oh, fuck yeah, man.
There's a hashtag on Instagram for the place we're going, and while we're sitting here, I'll bring some of it up because seriously, it's just like, oh God, like.
But then people get married and they're like, hashtag for our wedding.
That's true.
That stuff happens a lot. Like, or hashtag for, I guess, our child's birthday or something. Like, people do it a lot. A lot more than you think.
I thought that was a bit exhausting and kind of wanky until I realised that for weddings and stuff like that with hashtags, it makes all the photos really easy to collate for the couple if they want to put
grab
something
them off a
together.
bunch of
But you don't
people.
actually think that's the reason they're doing it, right?
Might be.
I don't think it's that.
I don't have
Oh,
Instagram,
okay.
so I don't know. But I reckon it might be.
I think it is. I don't know. I think everyone is now acting like a minor celebrity and
Yeah,
believing that everyone.
that's
Doesn't
true.
everyone know
Shit.
that no one means any, like, you know?
No, I don't. I think people know that deep down, but I think no one's putting anything on social media hoping that it doesn't get any retweets.
I think if people actually thought of what celebrity is, they would hate it. I remember being really little and talking to my sister, well, like when I was really young, and I was like, maybe I'll do acting. And then people get famous and have money. And my sister, who was older than me, was like, oh, God, you would not want to be famous.
That'd be the worst.
But this was like back in the like early 90s where she was like, it would be horrible. And now
And it would
in
be
comparison,
nowhere near.
Oh, now
as
it would just
bad.
be unfuckable.
Yeah.
TMZ following you around
Yeah,
everywhere.
not even TMZ
Unfucking
though.
believable.
Any person with a camera phone to
Yeah.
sell that footage on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you were saying, everyone thinks they're a minor celebrity. Everyone thinks they're fucking paparazzi as
Yeah.
well. You know, like, oh, I'm breaking the story.
or
Like,
just quoting weird shit that people have said like 1,000 years ago where you're like, it doesn't even, anyway.
have a scroll of that. That's
Okay.
that's the hashtag. It's
So can we know what the hashtag is?
Finn Olu?
Finolhu is the name of the
Finolhu?
Finolhu, apparently.
Are these people you?
No.
I was going to say.
No.
We're experiencing
Fuck is
Ben
going on?
for the first
go
time.
and look at like
I've never
1,200
used- I've never
photos
been to
of my
Instagram
butt,
before.
pretty much. It's
just
basically it's
fucking-
one of
It's
those.
just hot people that make you feel bad about
It
yourself.
really is.
That's
yeah.
all it is.
I can't wait
That's
to try and
literally.
be one
It's
of
like
those
dudes
for, like,
that I
a
will
week.
never look like.
Yeah.
Are
Fuck
you going to
this
hashtag
shit.
it?
Hey,
No wonder everyone's
Stop being
fucking.
so ragey.
No
She's
wonder
going on
everyone's
holiday.
fucking mentally ill. Look at that shit. How can
I
you
have
ever
a
live
look?
up to that?
It's going to be. There's one. I saved it. I don't know if it's just going to be in the scroll. If it's not, I'll bring it up in my photos. It's like this chick. She's she's doing like a handstand on a jetty, and she's like bent over. Oh my God, no, I have to bring it up in my photos. I definitely know it's in my photos. She's doing I can't even describe it without seeing it in front of me. It's so random and weird. Hang on.
Yeah, it's how are people not meant to have like eating disorders when they see shit like this?
And that's the thing now as well, is because people kind of go, oh well, I can monetize this as well, like, you know, the Instagram sponsory things and
like
all that
YouTube
sort of
stars
stuff
and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, that YouTube star. I mean, yeah, like not to be too ham-fisted to bring it back to art, but those
no.
those YouTube bloggers, like, you know,
I do watch the travel ones.
you know those ones that are like
do.
the daily vloggers that they do 600 vlogs in a row.
God, I'm so sorry.
No,
Sean's just showed me a photo. That's fucking ridiculous,
isn't it?
There's a woman upside down on a pier with a fucking bow and arrow.
It is.
In her
It is
legs.
the epitome of what I really hope is.
How is that even possible? It's like Cirque du Soleil.
I have
That's
no
something
idea.
from Wonder Woman.
I have
That's
no
fucking
idea.
crazy.
See, no
It's
normal
gonna be
person
amazing.
should aspire to do that. Like a normal person should be like, good for you.
Do you remember
We
when
plan to go and just break up Russian oligarch couples. Like that's
We're so lucky that when we were growing up, the only things to make you feel self-conscious were like magazines and billboards. Now it's just this thing in your pocket 24/7. Like, you shit, you're not living this life.
I think I rise above
that's
it because
true.
I only ever watch YouTube clips about people eating. Like, you know, mukbang?
Nah.
It's the Korean video. I'm going to Korea. Pumped.
nice.
But it's the Korean videos where people tune in to watch Korean people eating food.
Just eat,
For what
like eating a
purpose?
Speaking
lot,
of art-
eating like a lot of
that
food,
art?
or
Yeah,
just
so
eating.
the whole thing is like they think it stemmed from people being lonely in their houses. So the whole thing is like I would sit at home and I'd be like, "Hey guys, it's Jen. I'm gonna just dig into this bibimbap, yummo," and then I eat that, and then I'm like, "Man, thanks for sending me a smiley face, Sean. I feel like digging into a pizza," and then
So,
I'd be
like-
like, "Oh Ben, thanks for the thumbs up." And you would send me money, and I just eat to the camera and pretend I'm eating with you at home. And
Does that ever make you despair for humanity?
no, I'm into it. I can't wait to go to Korea. I'm pumped.
Wow,
I'm
that's
tempted to do it myself. Welcome to Jen's mukbang channel.
That's so interesting. Though.
So do you literally pretend like they're there and you're having the conversation, or
Yeah.
are you literally
Well, so
just
people can write
commenting
in.
like, oh, okay.
So it's like if you Instagrammed your photos and people interact, only it's a YouTube feed
Fuck,
that's
man.
live.
Yeah,
and
see,
so
I don't
people
go-
would
I
be
don't go
like,
that
"Hey,
deep
Sean,
into the-
eat
yeah.
the brownie, only not sexual." And
But
you
wait,
eat
I
the
feel
So-
like
so-
brownie.
how is it? I feel
Yes.
like
Is it different?
not
Is it different
sexual.
from feeding? Because there's
Yes, totally.
there's the feeding fetish where people.
Totally different.
Women will eat cakes and stuff online, and guys will
No,
pay
it's
them
not
for that.
feeding. The whole thing is apparently that people have company when they're at home and they're alone.
That's
they click in and they watch Benny
I love
eating a
that
piece
that's
of
more
pie.
fucked for you. Like, no, they're not fucking jerking off to it. No, it's fucked. That is fucked.
Well, no, it is.
If
because
she is
no,
not
because
rubbing cream somewhere that's not her fucking mouth, that is disgusting. You just want human companionship, you dog. You low dog.
You fucking filth bag.
No, but I can rationalize the wanking over someone on a screen, but
But you can't just rationalize someone being lonely.
because
And wanting
it's
to
not
hang?
it's not company, and you're not hanging with someone.
But is it art then?
Well, that's the interesting thing. Like, you've got you've suddenly got this proliferation of every fucking motherfucker has a YouTube channel. So there's more content than there's ever been in the history of humanity ever. Is it all art? Probably not.
No.
Is Logan Paul art?
I don't know who that is.
He's that YouTube.
Don't
Oh,
want to know.
the
got in trouble.
suicide
The
forest
suicide
guy.
forest.
Yeah.
Immediately deleting that from my brain.
That's a really.
I don't want it to take up space.
I'm not interested in him, but what I'm interested in is like these young YouTube celebrities that like this thing of daily vlogging where it's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
day
yeah.
632 of my vlog.
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
so
clout is such a big online thing with the youngsters
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And it's basically doing the most fucked up
What's
thing.
clout?
It's basically
street cred, baby.
Yeah. Like online.
That doesn't make it clearer to me.
I'm the edgiest. I'm the edgiest dude that's ever edgelord.
Like with guns?
No. Just I'm a fucking hardcore dude, bro, man. I fucking wakeboarded up the back of my car.
Who is YouTubing is not hardcore.
It's basically
millions
like
of
what
fans. It's
it's basically
crazy.
like what Jackass was doing
Yeah.
like 20 years ago.
Okay.
But like, yeah, they've
Except
given
the
out.
difference is Jackass knew that they were playing a role.
Yeah,
What's interesting
yeah.
about these YouTube people is because what happens, it's just anthropologically, it's interesting what happened with this Logan Paul guy. So he was like, whatever, day 600 of his vlog. He hasn't had a day off of filming himself, you know, going like, hey guys, wow, I'm Logan Paul. So then when something fucking real happens, he stumbles upon a dead body hanging off
He
a
did
tree.
not. He didn't stumble upon that though.
Wasn't he looking?
very much went there to like a Japanese suicide forest.
Yeah,
to
find
like
it.
go and film dead bodies. That's
is that what the actual
The
motivation?
That's
forest
what his-
is known for
No, I know it.
people
I know
passing.
for that. And I know, and I've watched the video. I know where he walks in
Sadly.
and he's like, "Whoa!" And I wonder if we'll find anything. But when he does, it's just interesting watching the footage because you can see that there is a real boy. He's like 20 years old, 21 years
Yeah.
old. There's a real terrified boy underneath
course.
the
See, I
character.
don't see it. Like,
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. I
I
haven't
see. There's a
watched
moment
it.
where he's like, "Oh shit!" Like, how can you not?
yeah.
Well, what did you think? You said you didn't see it.
Well,
Have you
I
watched the
sort
actual
of
whole video?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like the whole. I don't really have any context for him other than that video.
Watch a
That
couple of his
clip?
other videos.
Yeah.
He's
No, hang on. But wait,
Sorry.
you said, so what did you think when you watched that video of him going into the forest? Did it
Well-
look like it was all premeditated and all like acting, or did it look like he was...
Well, it definitely, like, I knew, because I just saw it sort of starting to blow up on Twitter, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, hang on, and then sort of went back through threads and found out sort of what happened and what was going on, and then found the footage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, knew that this was what this guy had sort of set out to do, and that was his
Yeah.
thing, was just, being an edgelord. I didn't know that he was, like, 2 years pretty much into vlogging, like,
Yeah,
every
well,
single day.
Yeah, and I think that's what the interesting thing
That's
is
so
because
weird.
he's
You
not
just reckon
actually capable of
you
having
just
a
reckon
human
he,
interaction.
like,
I feel like he doesn't know who the fuck he is
at
anymore.
one point, yeah.
I feel like it's like I think that's what happened with Trump as well.
It's like
'Cause
MTV's the real world,
Yeah.
but it's just in the real world.
Of
Like
course,
it's
when you
just
play a
his
character
life.
for long enough and
So
you
sad.
lose who you are. I think that's what happened with Trump in that, you know, I've seen interviews with people that have known him for 30, 40 years, and they all say, like, even 5 years ago, he knew he was playing a character of Trump. You know, and he could talk about like, God, did you see how I, you know, did that out there? Whoa, I can't believe they all fell for the big bad Trump character. But once the campaign started, well, he's being filmed 24 hours a day, or, you know, on and on and on. He's
Well,
never
he's
not,
nailing that cunty character. I'll
yeah,
tell you
well,
right
he's
now.
never not on stage. So it's like I think he's lost his mind and he's lost any grip on who he really is.
But, I
And he's
mean-
become
Oh, he's Kim Jong Un the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah.
just, you know,
yeah. And I think that's what's happening to
He's
a
like,
lot of people.
he's like, I can't stand back. I can't stand down now.
No, fuck no.
I've made too much of it.
Well,
It was
and
funny
he's
when
too
he
popular.
like when he first started. You know, the first 100 days and stuff like that. There was a few.
Did you watch that doco?
No,
There's
is
one
there-
called The First 100 Days.
Oh,
It's
really?
very good. Depressing, but
Imagine-
yeah.
yeah. That's. I prefer to stick to like making fun of the imminent doom. That's
yeah,
I
they're
don't.
fucked.
I
From
don't
a
really want to
distance.
think of the actual repercussions. We're all fucked in the end anyway. Like it's.
Don't
you're
talk
talking my
about the fucking
language.
apocalypse. Ben
Anyway.
talks about the goddamn apocalypse every fucking episode.
We swore we wouldn't talk about the apocalypse
The
today,
issue
so don't take me
I
down
have
this
with it is
fucking
there
road.
are people who are living in an apocalyptic life right now, and it sounds very bratty and cunty to say that you're obsessive over it. Do you know
I
what I'm
don't think
saying?
it does. I think
It
it's
is.
just
It's a very
you're the
bratty-
one bringing this up. I'm happy to
just
talk
saying
about the
it because
apocalypse
it
if you
came
want.
up. Keep going, Sean.
I didn't mean to bring it up. I'm so sorry.
No,
No,
please.
it's fine.
Continue.
Where was I in the? Oh yeah,
First 100 days.
yeah. Just there was. Yeah. You brought it up that time. That wasn't it.
Yeah.
I did that time. Yeah.
There was quite a few like sort of Daily Show and things like that that had a few like good shots of him, and it was like he just realized that, oh man, I've won, and this is gonna be real work now.
Oh yeah,
Like,
totally.
I just thought I'd be
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
like big note this campaign and come out and be all like, whatever.
Be great for my
and then he
business.
just kind of went, oh God.
That's the whole thing with
I-
Melania, where they're like, she did not sign up for this shit. That's why she's like bowing out, and people think there's always a body double for her because she's like, I just wanted to be a rich wife. I didn't want to be
yeah.
first
Also, though,
lady.
there's probably a body double.
But
totally.
I think he's lost any grip on reality, and it's that whole Logan Paul thing. The real person wanted to go, oh my god, I feel really upset and disturbed that I'm looking at a dead body hanging from a tree.
What did he do?
Well, he's just
like,
wow, this is the most intense day of my life, man.
Well, he also yelled out to it and was just like, hey, bro, yo. Yeah, what you doing? That was like for people that was just like, dude, are you fucking serious?
Whoa.
Like someone has gone out to a forest
to die. That's horrible.
But I look, and I'm no fan of this guy, and I'm not defending this guy, but I really do believe it's a product of a very young, good-looking guy, whoever the fuck he wants to go. There's thousands of people fawning over him, wanting to fuck him, wanting to be him. He's been on camera every day for the last God knows how many days.
Yeah.
And then he stumbles upon a situation that he has no control over.
Yeah.
That is outside of his realm of experience, and he doesn't. He can't have a real human reaction because that'll make the viewers go down, man. You got to be on. You got to put on a show.
I feel like no control over is the issue for me because you've gone specifically to somewhere known as the suicide forest. Like you haven't just accidentally been filming walking down the road and you saw someone get hit by a bus.
Yeah, you're still looking for it.
You're very much going out to seek that. Not to say that doesn't, you're going to be a complete sociopath and it's going to have no effect on you or anything like that. You probably are going to be quite desensitized to it. But I don't know where the line for me is between like, you're young, you've grown up in this age where this kind of stuff has always been around and you're just having to keep topping and topping and topping and topping.
Right.
And having a genuine, oh man, I'm watching a body swinging from a tree.
That's so sad.
I can't really probably go, and show people that I'm scared by this or whatever. So
that's what I think it is.
Hey, bro. Hey.
That's what I think it is.
Hamming it
and
up.
he has no emotional maturity. He has no life experience outside of being a guy who owns a fucking $5 million mansion off YouTube ads. It's crazy.
I think he had a meltdown afterwards, didn't he?
Well, basically every single anything that was associated with him dropped him.
Like sponsors
instantly.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think YouTube basically were like, we're ditching how much support we were giving your channel and all that kind of stuff.
I think he's clawed back. I can't say it.
Yeah, I don't think they shut him down completely, but they were literally just like, bleh.
I got very interested in him for a while, and not interested in him specifically, but just this idea of, in the past, celebrity's so interesting because in the past you had to do something good to get famous.
Yeah.
You had to be the best guitar player.
Yeah.
You had to hit a home run. You had to do something.
Yeah.
And now it's just me existing.
Yeah.
And talking into a camera is enough for me to be not just famous.
Yeah.
But fucking like a multi-million-dollar celebrity. And this is a world that we don't understand because we're aged out.
I understand it. I just don't like it.
No, well, exactly, but it's not for us.
It's not for us. Yeah.
Do you think it kind of started around when we just started? I don't know. Instead of it just being about, like you said, someone that's made something or done something or anything, just being a rich person or being like a child of a rich person. Like I remember when sort of like the whole Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton, that was kind of the start of it, and then it was like the sex tapes and stuff like that. Like you look at the Kardashian empire.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
I think it's reality TV because I think rich people were probably they were minor celebrities, but and maybe in tabloids and stuff, very much like Trump was in the 80s.
But they were popular because of their money.
Yeah.
Like we knew them because they
Trump
already
became
wanted to.
Trump when The Apprentice started. Reality, I think reality TV, which has then morphed into this YouTube thing of like, just filming my life, bro.
Yeah.
I watched one the other day of a YouTube couple. It's like their 700th vlog, and they're breaking, their relationship is ending, and they're filming the breakup.
So sad.
And they're both on camera weeping, going, I love you, but we just don't work. And it's like, but it doesn't even occur to them to go, hey, this is a really intense, private moment. I feel like in the past,
I just kind of go, that's not a real moment.
Oh, it looked real. But whether or not it's real, I feel like in the past there was, who can tell because you weren't there and you don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like celebrities might have had a separation between the public persona and the private persona.
Well, if you grow up as a celebrity, you probably have a clearer distinction of the two.
Whereas now it's just like, well, no, now it's just 24/7. And so then how do you know who you are? And then
Yeah.
how do you react genuinely when you see a dead body swinging from a tree, or when you win the presidency of the United States and you actually didn't want it?
Yeah.
Well, so is this what, like, I'm not trying to completely swing it back, but there are
please
people
do.
who call
Yeah,
themselves.
we haven't. Yeah,
Well,
we did get very off track.
Doesn't really
No,
matter.
it's
But
good.
there are people who are like social media artists where they like, puts, what's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say submersive. That's not it. Anyway, basically put shit online that's supposed
Content.
to. Yeah. Content. No,
I hate that
but like
fucking
really
word.
suggestive stuff, or like stuff that's supposed to get a reaction from people or whatever, and they call
There are
themselves.
Instagram photographers and
But
stuff.
no, but they're like, my art is my Instagram. And
Yeah.
they're getting funded and they're considered artists for their social media presence.
Do you feel like it's the same? Not the same, but the goalposts have shifted for what is art?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
like social media online, it's almost like instead of you having to go to a gallery or having to go to an exhibition, there can be a specific thing that you seek out or like online. So, I know we used it to look at wanky holiday stuff before, but if you were say really interested in, I don't know, Renaissance art or anything like that, you could like follow that hashtag, and then if people were sort of recreating things or
yeah, you can definitely, hone it in more to what you want, I guess. Is that what you mean?
well, I guess more like you were saying, people's social media content is their art. Like, do
Yeah,
you
but I
think
think
that
that's so-
is considered?
I don't know what I don't know what I think about it. I think it's kind of
I'm looking up the definition of art, the dictionary definition of art.
okay.
A skill acquired by experience, study, or observation. The art of making friends.
Oh, that's so cute.
An occupation requiring knowledge or skill. See, it's interesting. It doesn't get into one of the fine arts, which is like painting, sculpture. I don't know. The actual definition of it is so fucking like.
It's always been wishy-washy, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think it always just goes back to that thing of like, you know it if you like it, and
Well,
if
Yeah, I get. Yeah, if you like it. Well, it's interesting to look at how it sort of changes through the years as well. Like what you're saying about the fine arts and what was considered, hoity-toity at the time.
Yeah.
And then, like Shakespeare back in his day was dirty. Not dirty, but like
filthy.
No.
But he was.
It's true. He was the Michael Bay of the
street. It was the street
1600s.
merchant. It was the it's what the commoners went to see. They went
Yeah.
to see those kind of things, and he was writing in slang, and he was it was and
Ahead
it
of
was
his
looked
time.
down upon by all these like toffs that were attending that's what the unwashed like
Yeah.
absolutely.
and now it's the opposite of that because
Yeah.
people studied and realized and almost turned it into a fine thing, and so it's almost not. I don't know. I feel like he'd be really disappointed with like the fact that all the people that he kind of wrote for are the ones kind of being looked down upon now by the people going, oh, you don't understand what he was saying in this soliloquy
Oh,
here.
yeah, how it's ended up.
And it's,
God, does that mean like Honey Boo Boo and WWF is going to be the only thing remembered 400 years from now, and everyone will think that's high art?
well, it's, I don't know. It's scary because it's scary how quickly to have like seen that sort of decline into, the movie Idiocracy.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's one of my
yeah.
favorites. It's one of the fucking greatest movies ever.
Like,
So good.
you're just kind of going, oh, this is going real time. This is happening.
Yeah.
It's happening a lot quicker than
Maybe we'll just all go back to being animals quicker than we thought.
Yeah. Idiocracy is a weird one, right? I watched that pre-Trump, and it was the funniest movie ever. And I watched it a couple of months ago, and it was not funny
No,
at all.
no.
It was really, really upsetting.
For me, the thing that goes around is like the electrolytes. It's what plants crave. Like just, we've got to water everything with Gatorade because it's better than water. We know that it's better than water, so why wouldn't that be better for? And
You
just
gotta
go,
put water on the plants. Water goes in the toilet.
yeah. And you just no.
It feels like art is a thing that like it's only considered art once the like hoi polloi decide that it's art. You know what I
And
mean?
there's so many amazing artists who are out there who are producing like beautiful traditional pieces of art. They're
Yeah.
like doing watercolors, or they're doing like with a palette knife or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're not considered high-end art, so they're worth nothing.
A friend of mine was telling me the other day, he's a fucking fantastic tattoo artist. He does a lot of kind of like Japanese shogun stuff.
Yeah.
And see, tattoo is probably not considered art by a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Depends on the tattoo. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some tattoos you can't deny it. It's like, that's a fucking masterpiece.
Beautiful.
But he was telling me his friend went to a fine arts college and all he wanted to do was like Dutch Renaissance painting. And all of his teachers were like, fuck off, don't even bother. You know, it's all about minimalism and cubes and fucking
Right.
triangle here and a, you know, cylinder there. And he just stuck to his guns, and they were just kind of just like, you've wasted all your time. You're going to live in poverty your entire life. No one wants Dutch Renaissance painting.
No one wants this now.
Apparently he's one of the best-selling artists in the whole world now because he's found, you know, this niche that like everyone thought was forgotten or naff or didn't have any relevance anymore. But, you know, it's like...
Well, I think that's maybe something that is interesting about art is that everything old is new again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Swings around.
it all comes around.
Completely.
Like, you know, so much of like people looking back at like photos of, you know, from the 80s and they're going to go, oh, and then like you wait another 10 years and
What's
then it's
in
like,
now?
oh, that's trendy again.
Yeah.
Like, you know, oh, those
It swings back and forth.
Yeah.
Minimal to like over
extravagant and
Yeah,
over
yeah,
the
and then
top
back
because
again.
it's and I don't know if you know that had stuff to do with you know the war and things like that were going on at the time and your rationing and like I'm talking obviously the early like the last sort of 60s minimalistic kind of thing like that was almost like the second like after the baby boomer thing, then it was kind of like, okay, let's go back to absolute nothing. And
yeah.
like where we are now is almost at that point of like,
Oh, it's going so back to that. Like right now it's complete 80s. Like I studied fashion for 3 years, which is hilarious because when I tell people they're like, but you look like a child. But I did. And I love fashion still. But one of the things we learned immediately was like it's going to swing.
Yeah.
So it goes from like if you look at the silhouettes that are being made for women in particular at the moment, they are straight out of the 80s. Women are like wearing high-waisted things and like, you know, I mean, the
must be
top
so
I have on is an 80s T-shirt, but like
I was thinking that as you were talking, I was
Yeah.
like, no, yeah, I can see some
It's lost
some
its
80s
time.
vibe.
It must be
babe.
so exhausting trying to keep up with all that.
Not
those,
if you don't care.
Culture No, I'm not. Of course, if you don't care, but I'm saying if you're trying to keep up with it all the time, you do care. Like those culture vultures, where it's just like, what's the newest thing? But
even I used to argue with a friend of ours. I used to argue with Nick about this all the time, where he was like, "I hate fashion," and he'd deliberately try and look messy and stuff. And I was like, "Unfortunately for you, the fashion industry would fucking love you."
that's right.
Well,
And he used to hate when I said it, but I was like, "It's true, they would," because you know how you're like. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But you know, it swings completely back and forth. Like you know, it's weird.
But fashion doesn't that have more to do with like the idea of cool or chic?
No,
or,
I have
rather
such
than
issues with this.
but is there parallels there with art?
with
Yes,
fashion.
completely.
Yeah.
And
like just, you know, oh, you're in the
and-
know or you're not.
status.
Like,
Yeah.
I had this.
Completely.
I had
And
this-
also like freedom and liberation and, you know, people hate fashion. It's the reason we're not walking around in a fucking corset, you know. People are like, oh, it's so disgusting. I could go on about this forever. Chanel's the reason why women were okay to wear pantsuits instead of skirts. Like it's like there's so much
there's
power in what you wear.
Yeah.
You know? And then people also consider it art because it is. It's a form of self-expression, which is why our friend Nick would get angry because I was like, the fashion industry would fucking love you because you're trying to make a point that you hate fashion, but in doing so, you're dressing in such a unique way that's memorable that is anti-fashion, which then becomes fashion again.
It reminded me,
Yeah.
as soon as you said that, like started talking about that before, it reminded me of, you know, The Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah.
It's basically that perfect speech that Meryl Streep gives to
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway's character, you know, when she like comes in and she's like, oh no, I just got this from a, and she's like, yeah, what you don't understand is that went through so-and-so's collection 5 years ago, which then
It all comes
got
from
mirrored
somewhere.
and it's like, and then it made its way down to whatever department store.
Oh, it's
you
naive
got
to
it
think
off
you
the
can
rack
rise
of.
above it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's fucking stupid. You have no choice.
Well,
It drizzles
Even
down
if you're
to everything.
even if you're like making your own clothes, you're pretty much working off a pattern
Yeah.
that was created to
yeah, unless
fit
you're a pattern
or
maker.
not fit or
And even if you are a pattern maker, the skills you've learned have been developed from patterns previously made.
Yeah.
No one is that fucking original.
Yeah, the human body has not changed that much. That
No.
You've revolutionized.
We've just gotten bigger.
Yeah.
I had this moment at the Mofo because I'm very, I'm very much like Nick in that, like clothes or whatever.
Yeah, you think you're unique.
Like,
it's cute.
I don't think I'm unique. I've got 2 pairs of pants and 6 shirts, and that's it. Like I don't.
I'm just
like,
teasing. Yeah.
But it's like, but I had this moment at Mofo. I was at this like very swank party, and we were in this weird ballroom, and everyone around me was wearing like, you know, top hat and tails and fucking, you know, feather boas and crazy. Like everyone was making a statement.
Yeah.
And I was out of it. And I was standing there in a puffer jacket, like a t-shirt, a baseball cap with my backpack on, looking around. And I had this moment of like deep self-consciousness of like, you are like a fucking loser.
No,
Look at
but
you.
to them, you would have been making a statement.
Yeah, but then that's exactly the revelation I had where I suddenly like, oh, I'm the freest person here because I'm the only person that didn't fucking put any thought into how I'm looking. It was just like
No,
fucking...
but you did. You did. This is the argument I have. You did put thought into how you were looking because if I said, oh, are you going out to Mofo? And you said yes. And I said, oh, here, wear this jacket.
Ugh.
And it was a fur coat.
No.
You would take it off because you have put thought into how you want to present yourself. And you've chosen to present yourself as someone who
No, but I feel
doesn't-
uncomfortable in those things. It's not that I've chosen not to wear the fur coat. I would feel like a fucking idiot
Right.
wearing that.
Exactly.
So it's a feeling.
form of self-expression.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah.
Cannot win this argument with me.
That's what was so funny just then. If you just like, no, okay, yeah. No, that's,
No, it's true.
But you
It's
know
like-
what I'm saying.
well,
It's like
statement
even
through
people
no
are like,
statement. It's just, yeah.
It's people like, I'm above it, I don't engage with it. It's like bullshit. You do and you just have no idea.
I've been asked by another female comic why I dress down for the stage.
Me too.
And I kind of went, oh, I didn't necessarily realise that. And she was like, no, you're doing it deliberately. And I was like, well, I'm just not dressing up for the stage.
Oh, I
If,
make a
like-
point of dressing comfortably on stage. I
Yeah.
make a point of wearing t-shirts where you can't see boobs, you can't even
Yeah.
see silhouette. Like
Yeah.
I went to a friend's engagement who was a comic and there was all these other comics there and one of the chicks was like, oh, you have a figure under there because I wear like a fucking bag on stage
Yeah.
because I'm more comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
but you know, I think it's just what you're more comfortable in. The
And
idea
and-
of being on stage and being concerned with how I look is not something I'm into at all.
An ex of mine always deliberately dressed down all the time because she didn't like being leered at on the street.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't like turning heads. So it's just like, oh, fuck it. I'll wear tracksuit pants and baggy jumpers and
Yeah.
everyone will leave me the fuck alone.
Then you just look like an indie girl.
Yeah, you fucked either way, right?
Indie fairy, pixie chick.
Well, I feel like this is all coming to an end. Is there any...
No, thanks. Yeah. It's been fun.
Ben's really good at stuff like that.
Well, I'm bad with transitions. I was going to ask...
No, that's okay.
I was going to ask, is there a... Like, for either of you, is there like a
Yeah.
piece of art or a movie or a piece of music or whatever it's like recently that really fucking affected you?
Yeah, but you go first, Sean.
No, you go.
Oh, okay. Ben and I took Ben to see Marina help me.
Abramovic.
Thank you.
The greatest.
When she came to Sydney and it was like performance art and you engaged in it. So we both had to put our bags down. You don't take your phones in or anything. I was actually thinking of this before when we were talking about Instagram and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take your phones or there's no recording devices and it's all performance
Noise
based.
cancelling headphones. No one's
Yeah.
allowed to speak.
No one's allowed to speak. You wear
Okay.
noise cancelling headphones and you basically engage in these different activities with other people who are there. And I remember it like it was yesterday and it's all really clearly imprinted in my memory and it is something I still think about all the time. So that for me was very significant.
I think that was so significant because it actually ties back to what we were talking about before because the whole thing, what I interpret the whole thing was about mindfulness and
Yeah.
stop looking at your fucking watch, stop checking things, just be present.
Yeah.
And all the activities were very, there was
Did
one
you have
where
to like interact with other people who were also?
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
weren't speaking.
Yeah.
So there was one where you'd sit opposite someone and you just looked in their eyes for a while.
Yeah,
and,
that was
and-
what I was thinking. Is it was
There was
sort
that
of like
one.
yeah.
Yeah, and then
that
there was other ones.
crazy.
There was other ones that were a bit more isolated where you sit and you'd like have to count rice, which sounds crazy, but when you're forced to do something something mindful, it puts in perspective how you're using your time. It was really interesting.
It was
It stays with me, so
Yeah.
that's mine.
We stayed there for like 5. That's probably
We snuck back in. We stayed there for like a day.
We stayed there for an hour because
Like
it was
a
like
day.
it was one of those things where I think, you know, it felt like people were walking out of there going, "Oh my god, I just got something I didn't even realize I needed."
Completely, yeah.
And it was the just stop, slow down,
Yeah.
stop. Like you don't have information pouring into you, just the act of sitting opposite another human being that you
Yeah.
never met before, you don't know, you can't
Yeah.
talk to,
Yeah.
and you're locking eyes with them. I mean, there was one person I did it with for God knows how long, but it was very.
It was intense.
Jen watched it externally. It was fucking
that
crazy.
sounds weird, but yeah.
We had a small crowd around us. We had like a full blown fucking relationship over the course of like 40 minutes. You know, we'd never met before. And
It was good.
It felt like we were in. I mean, I can't speak for her, but like it felt like we were in love.
Yeah.
We're like giggling and like blushing and like what is going on? Like it was crazy.
Yeah. And you realize as well how much is spoken non-verbal communication, which was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you
Man,
had
like,
anything?
nothing that cool. Like,
I know. Like one time I saw a painting.
yeah.
Made me feel good.
I saw some graffiti on the way over.
Oh,
That's pretty
graffiti's fucking
sweet.
I do love
Yeah.
graffiti, yeah.
Well, earlier this year in Perth, I went to see Sculpture by the Sea.
Oh, yes. I was actually thinking of Sculpture by the Sea too.
Yeah, which is really cool. It was the one thing that was annoying, like, because we went during the week because we were sort of like, oh, it'll be less, busy then
Hectic.
and stuff like that. Lots of schools.
Oh,
Yeah,
heaps
right.
of kids.
Yeah, kind of annoying. And when you guys were talking about the mindfulness stuff then, like that's why we sort of went during the day so we could kind of take our time. But yeah, just a lot of primary schools and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And you're like,
What's that mean?
you kind of want a bit more time. But even in saying that, like some of them were amazing and you wanted to take that time to kind of look at this amazing masterful thing
Yeah.
that someone has created at the end of the day out of like zip ties. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait, what? You've
Yeah.
just woven like a web between two trees in zip ties. That's amazing. And then you move to the next one. You're like, oh, you painted a log gold. that was literally
Exactly. Sculptures by the Sea. One moment you're like, this is so insanely beautiful. And the next minute it's literally like, oh, there's a red flag in the sand.
I literally, and there was one this year
But
that
it
was
has an effect.
it was a gold log. Like I just
Yeah, I
thought
think-
it was like
yeah.
a piece of, like furniture in the, like
Someone's
in the
polluting.
reserve. You know how they got like pine trees and stuff like that, and they'll just have logs for like kids to sit on or
Yeah.
parents to sit on near the playground. I thought it was that, and then I was like, oh no, there's a plaque in front of it with someone's name on it.
And
That's
so at least
embarrassing.
one person that went to Sculpture on the Sea, that was the most profound thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Totally.
Someone that would have been
person's
like, what
mum.
the fuck?
That's the only person that I could think. Like,
That's great.
and it's definitely where's the Hexstat. Yeah, no, good.
That's perfect. That's a wonderful way to start with mums, end with mums.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, what word would you like to throw in our hat?
Oh,
It can
for
be
like
anything.
another person?
Yeah. Can be anything.
If it's more on the positive side, that might be nice.
Okay.
There's a lot of anxiety, stress,
We've had-
death,
we've had-
war.
We've had guilt, betrayal, regret. We've had future and optimism as well.
Okay, oh man, I'm such a weirdo. I was just going to be like, Mars. Like, I
Yeah,
don't-
Mars. Yeah, great.
Mars is awesome.
Yes, we have no random words.
Okay, good.
Mars is
'Cause I was like,
awesome.
oh, they're all really like thought. Oh,
No.
Okay,
Mars
good.
is sweet. Mars is what we're after. Thank you.
woo!
Hey, thank you so much for talking to
Thanks
us
for
about
having
art.
me.
How can people find you on the internet and where can they see you?
You can see me. I'm in Sydney for a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
I don't know when you guys put these out.
Next
or
Tuesday.
I'll be in Sydney for a week. I'm at the store the weekend of like the 9th,
Yeah,
10th,
cool.
11th, somewhere like that. I Facebook under just Sian Choyce, SIAN. It'll be somewhere.
CHOYCE.
Yep.
Great.
And Instagram, Shanana Bread is my Instagram.
Nice.
Yep.
Shanana Bread and
Yeah.
Twitter.
Twitter is just like Sian_Choyce, but again, it's not that great.
I've got the underscore too. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I like the fact that there's clearly not a lot of other Sian Choices.
But
do
you
like
have the
that.
underscore.
I have the pretty standard Gmail account as well. I didn't have to put like a lot of numbers or
I put
weird-
numbers and didn't need to. There's not a heap of Jen Carnivales out there.
There's
turns
a
out.
pro. There's a pro, very well-known Australian tennis player that has my name, and it's
Bastard.
spelled exactly the same way as well.
Bastard.
Yeah.
Do you get corporates out of it though?
No, I've never had a corporate in my fucking life.
Give a motivational speech. Well, thank you so much, Sean. Find
Thank
her
you.
on all the social medias, and we'll have them in the links. And thanks for talking to us about art.
Thank you, Sean.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.